when Dick in the Box came out, the first thing that came to mind was the first Dick in the Box I ever saw was in Boys Night In.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah,
that's right. In a pizza
yeah.
box.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Your sausage right here.
Yeah. We are the main comedians who put penises through balls into boxes. Yes.
Also, how fortunate you are in your life that you were able to go so long without seeing a dick in the box.
That's right.
I know, man.
Yeah.
You know what's really funny is that, like, I always talk about, like, when looking at like Tommy's work and like the Venn diagram of like kind of what I bring to like there's a crossover there, right?
Yeah.
Of the action comedy action kind of stuff. And with these guys, it's just a circle.
Yeah.
A circle.
Yeah.
The Venn diagram is just
Yeah.
Because I feel like from a sketch comedy perspective, because I was coming up at the same time as you guys were in the aughts and early teens.
Shout out UCB, shout out The Pit. Shout out
The Pit,
yeah,
bro.
Films.
Yeah.
Break.com.
YouTube was such a huge catapult for sketch comedy and for sketch comedians. You guys were pre-YouTube, obviously.
Well, and we talked about this because were you guys on Adam Film? Did you guys like know that
We
site?
did have some stuff on there. We were uploading every sketch we had to anything.
I know we were the same way. And we had our own website before YouTube, even, and hid all of our files on a much bigger website, which I won't mention what it is because I'm embarrassed. But like we were using their like bandwidth and like shit you couldn't even like when we first like got signed to UTA as an agency, we sent them links to our stuff and they didn't have enough bandwidth to watch it. So we had to send them a VHS copy. That's like how long ago this was. So like, we were sending all of our stuff into like the bigger websites. And then Lazy Sunday was the first thing that we made that we heard the next day that it was on this site called YouTube that was actually pretty cool. And then, so we kind of got like linked with the rise of YouTube, like all the articles that got written, like I had to sort of mention us.
We started January 2008 is when we put our first video on YouTube, and we felt like we were late to the game because it was like 2005 or something was Lazy Sunday, something like that. So it's like we're like, oh no, is this still a thing? And like now it just feels like it's so early, obviously, in comparison to the whole internet. But at the time,
why'd you guys take a couple of years?
Well, we were still in college.
We were in college. I remember sophomore year watching Lazy Sunday on YouTube and being like, "Oh, what is this YouTube thing?"
Yeah.
And then we were in school, and we basically right when we graduated, we were like,
we were
all right,
seniors, and we were like, let's do something.
Brian and I, you know.
But you guys are obviously pretty savvy, though. Yeah, I mean, and what were you editing? I was just Final
Cut Pro. Yeah, it was. I was just, I just don't think anyone was. I guess it was possible to do it, but until Derek did it, the idea of like students doing something put it on YouTube, Derek Comedy,
group,
it was just never really in our. It's so funny. Kids now must be like, you didn't think about putting stuff on the internet, funny things you're doing, but like no one our age was really doing it at all. So it was like we needed to see someone do it, and it was right around our senior year we saw that, and we're like, oh, I guess we could put stuff on YouTube. It's just like there's a psychological boundary you have to jump over. And we were 21. We were just like,
and then we all made millions.
We made millions of dollars
on sketch comedy alone before you started.
We were all very independently well.
Lauren was like, "Here's your million. I love you so much, BriTANicK."
Wait, what year were you guys on SNL?
2016 to 2018.
2016 to 18, gotcha.
Yeah.
The trenches.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But that's almost 10 years after you started, and
that's right.
Putting stuff up on YouTube. But like, I mean, what are your thoughts on how, I guess how accessible it is to make sketch comedy now as opposed to when we were making it, where like, I mean, you're talking before about how like, you're holding your own booms.
Yeah.
And, like, I mean, like same with us, where it was like you had to be scrappy, but you also had to literally do everything almost like analog.
Yeah, something that's interesting that I've noticed. One, it's like everything is sketch comedy now. It's like everything is a short version of it, but there's much less effort put into it. And that's not to say it's not funny. It's like there's so much funny stuff. But what I've noticed recently is that the more production value you put into it, the more it's like it doesn't, like the viewers don't really like that as much on the internet. Like it almost feels like it's like
trying to
try hard or something. And so or like you're being sold something because like ads are doing it. But there was a period when we were coming up, like in 2010, 12, it's like College Humor was, putting like $150,000 budgets to making it look really good, and I loved that period. It was so great to see like the effort put into it.
It felt special, you know. What I mean? Like it's always nice. It's how I felt like when commercial parody stuff would come on SNL.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, this is the thing. This is like the big version of this thing. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah.
I feel it was like when Jizz in My Pants came out, that was like a step up. That was like you guys were doing stuff, but that was
No,
like
that was
the
like an actual
slickness
budget,
of it.
yeah.
I was like, this is crazy.
And that's like, that was, I think, $120,000 for that budget. And like, that's like pales
Nothing.
in comparison to like what SNL is doing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's nuts now. I mean, but like at the time when they brought you guys in, it was like, oh, like we're actually leaning into video sketches and like and things that feel like films that like as opposed to.
I mean, like all the early stuff was literally just like us with a video camera borrowing, like literally borrowing a camera from Bill Hader's wife at the time. Maggie would like meet us at a subway station because she worked at AFI or whatever, and like she would hand us a rented camera, and we would like we made Lazy Sunday for $15 and DV tapes or whatever.
So crazy.
Yeah, I think the thing that about making comedy back then versus now is now everyone can do it. If you know how to press this button to upload it, you can make a funny video, which is great. It means everyone can do it. But back then, it's like you had to know someone who had a FireWire cord and had a camera, and you had to know how to like export from Final. Only the nerds knew how to do it.
Yeah.
So it was it really had not everyone even knew what this place was to get to.
It's interesting because like the barrier, and it's the same thing with music or anything. Like it's so nice that the barrier of entry has lowered, so like anybody can do it and people can be creative. But it also, because there's so much of it, like the prices of all content, like just in terms of like getting budgets for things, or like what people think you can do for very little money or like in a shorter amount of time. And so like it is like so nice when you actually like have the stamp of IFC is like gonna give you this amount of money or like whatever for a pizza movie. Like I think you can actually do a substantial thing.
Absolutely, which brings us back to why we're here at South by Over Your Dead Body.
No problem.
Easy. You made it for me. I appreciate it. But it's such a unique love story.
It becomes that.
Right.
It's kind of. I mean, it's kind of 3 movies in one. Kind of.
I think we'll probably get canceled for calling it a love story.
It's my kind of love story. I don't know if that's but it's a remake of The Trip.
Yes.
Usually, is remakes. It's movies made like maybe 10, 15, 20 years later it gets remade, but this was made 4 years ago or like 2021.
Well, so what the impetus, like, because you guys were working with Guy Danella you guys were abroad because Karen was shooting a movie, right? And
so it started, I guess, because we were my wife Karen Gillan was in another XYZ movie called Duel, which is excellent, directed by Riley Stearns, and it was during COVID, and I was with her in Finland in Tampere and was just in a sauna with producers from XYZ constantly pitching myself for jobs and
writing or acting or
whatever, anything, getting coffee. And they were looking to do an American remake of this movie, and I watched the original and was like, oh yeah, I love this, would love to help make this. So we ended up written the adaptation.
It was like, we got a job. I was like, how? He was like, in a sauna. I made a deal.
How many feature scripts had you guys written to that point?
We'd written 2, I guess. We've
one for Lionsgate,
a Lionsgate time travel movie that is not good.
Hey, come on, give us some credit. It's okay.
Get that out of your system.
We were like 24 and didn't know what we were doing, as if
like
we do now.
Reading Save the Cat as we wrote it.
Yeah. No.
Then we adapted another French film for New Line, and that was it. I think feature-wise.
In terms of like finishing a feature?
Yeah, before this.
I think so. I think that's all we did. And that's going to be made now, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, right on. Is that also XYZ? No.
No, that's Gaumont and New Line. They're, they threaten to make it every couple of years, and we're currently in one of the...
We're in year 7 of that.
Like 5 to 10 years.
Yes.
Right amount of time to make anything in Hollywood.
Yeah, because I watched The Trip, and I was, and then it started, and then like I'm hearing the dialogue. I'm like, wait, this is already in English, and I was like, oh no, this is the English dub, which is hilarious on its own.
Yeah.
But I was interested to see what elements you guys wanted, like it was important for you guys to keep the same versus change, because like it is, because like I mean certain scenes of it, I mean like you guys nailed the look like almost to a T of what the original was.
Yeah.
So where's that line?
It was, well, you guys can talk about like the original writing process.
Well, the original script was already great. I mean, when you write, I think probably the hardest part, arguably, is structure. It's really difficult to like just figure out the foundation of your movie, and the structure was already really there in the original one. So that was kind of nice to have a movie where it's like, oh, the characters for the most part we changed some, and structure's figured out for us. So we get to kind of like play jazz with the toppings a little bit. And
I think it was like
jazz with the
toppings.
I like to mix metaphors.
How TCBY are you?
You take a blueberry and you blow through it, and you put it on the microphone.
Sprinkle. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we really liked the structure, and it was just kind of like, playing with the characters, the motivations. So we swapped out some characters and just doing. I like the way we describe it. Just for another metaphor that I'll throw.
Mix them up. Put some fruit in it somehow.
That would be another musical.
Like the house was already built, and we got to pick the wallpaper. And what's another? And,
put someone else mix it.
And
no, but I mean, like
paint.
in terms of like me getting involved with your guys' script, like from jump, watching I'll go back. So I talked to Guy Danella, who we all know and is like one of the most caffeinated, awesome producers on the planet. He's like such a go-getter. He just does it. And so he was working with Tommy Wirkola. How do you actually pronounce it?
We should have Googled that for sure, but I think it's Wirkola.
It looks like Wirkola.
Yeah. And so Tommy, did like Violent Night. He did like, and he really does a lot of like action comedy, like action first comedy, like coming out of that action. And so the Venn diagram of like when Guy hit me up, he was like, look, there's this movie, like it was that Tommy was like quoting stuff that I had done on set and was like, clearly I should just call this guy. And so Guy like hit me up immediately and was like, hey, well, like, and then a week later it was like, we have this project, which is, I don't know if you'd ever want to make a remake, but watch the remake. Love the remake, as you guys obviously did too, and it's so
the original
dark and like sorry the original.
We love the remake, by the way.
Yeah.
The remake's pretty great.
The remake's quite good. But love the original. Like just like I was like dark as shit, really scared. Like the twists are amazing, sort of thing. So all that structure is incredible. And then I was definitely not in to make a remake, but then reading these guys' script was like it was so fun because I think that we're like tonally too, like the three of us, and Guy too, but we have a certain kind of kindness. It's a little bit comedy forward, like a little bit more than the original, even like that got added. Obviously, like the changes that you made for casting stuff were fucking perfect, and there's a lot of symmetry that now happens with the two couples and but like it just felt like a no-brainer. Honestly, it was like a really easy thing to get involved in from jump because too like it's such a cool thing to see like an original that you love, and the acting is so incredible in the original, but then just intrinsically the differences that come about from different casting. Jason and Samara are incredible together, and just all the things that the shades that it changes. And then I think like all the changes that we've sort of slowly made through the writing and rewriting, like honing process to get into like the actual production. So I think just made it better and better and more exciting to me. Like just because it's really fun to honestly compare the two.
Yeah.
Because I love the first one so much, and this one, to make something that I feel like that we could make something that I was equally proud of like this is its own thing, but it's also like I think a real honoring of the original.